In this episode, I talk to Dan Rodriguez, who's an aspiring surgeon, a cardiac surgeon to be exact, who is putting in grueling hours, and it is tough work to become one of these cardiac surgeons. A lot of years. And he does it all because he wants to help people. These are the type of people that we need in this world. We need more Daniel Rodriguez's. And so I hope you enjoy the conversation because we talk a lot about what he's doing, what it takes to become a surgeon. And if you do like it, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date on my channel because we'll post more videos like this. And I hope you enjoy the conversation. Recording. Jesus. That's funny.
That'll work. What was wrong with it?
I honestly, I don't really know. I bought this new computer. Mm-hmm. Let me get this logo in the back.
I was going to say, do I see like a baby shark back there or something?
Usually get this logo on. I bought this new computer for this because I had a Chromebook, and Chromebooks are not good for like new software. Like software, it's the whole thing of a Chromebook is like it's all web-based stuff, and I cannot figure it out. Sometimes my camera just won't work. Like I have how I record a lot of my podcasts when I just do it myself is this thing through WeVideo. It's called WeVideo. And allows you to like tap into stock images and videos. That's how I like produce videos. Sometimes my camera just won't work and I cannot figure it out. So yeah. And I'm assuming this is what happened to the mic. It could either be my computer is being stupid or I'm being stupid. Either or. It could be me. My first podcast that I had with someone, we recorded the whole thing and I did the audio so bad. That like you could barely hear the person and I had to like throw that one out. So at least we figured it out. You hear me? You hear me well?
Yeah, I hear you perfect. What about me? Can you hear me good?
I hear you.
All right. I'm in my apartment complex, the little, whatchamacallit, not the townhouse, but
the business center?
Yeah, it's like a business center. There's a clubhouse. You probably see people freaking walk in.
Yeah. What are you balling out, dude? You got a business center in your complex?
No, not even close, dude.
Do you have a beer?
I do. I'm drinking pumpkin porter.
Nice.
It's, Four Peaks. It's a brewing company out in Arizona. It's pretty good.
You got I don't even know what the hell this is. Harbor Headless Hellsman Pumpkin. Another pumpkin beer.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, this is the second. The first one was with Travis. A cold one with Travis, I think it was called.
Yeah. Right.
Look at you. Are those called scrubs, or is there another term for that?
Yeah, these are called scrubs. So,
yeah, that's the lifestyle, right? That's your new lifestyle. When did you decide, like, to do all this stuff with trying to be a doctor?
Yeah, so I always had like intentions of doing something in the medical field.
Like how young were you when you're like, I want to do this?
I was probably like 16 or 17 where the idea came about. Ended up rolling as a pre-med student at Stony Brook after graduating, but that didn't go too well. Was too young, too naive, really didn't have like the attention span or focus or drive to really complete, the degree.
You're saying after high school you went to Stony Brook for pre-med?
Yeah, I spent like half a semester there.
Got it.
Didn't like it. Ended up transferring to like Suffolk, and really just had no idea where I wanted to go. So then I decided to drop out and enter the workforce.
Yeah. Well, for anyone who's listening, because I do this is globally. Somehow people all over the globe listen to this. Well,
Really?
let me clarify that. People happen to live all over the globe, but let's not pretend like we have people all over the globe actually listening to this. We're growing slowly, but we're growing.
Can you see where the furthest person is who's viewing your videos? Like, is that possible?
You can see a breakdown, a general breakdown of where your viewers are.
Okay.
And I advertise. I
Hmm.
advertise this a lot, and I don't just stick with the United States. So I do it globally,
Okay.
and so a lot of this actually is in India too.
Really?
For some reason, well,
Hmm.
I guess there's just a lot because I advertise it specifically for English speaking, but all over the globe. And India just probably has a massive population, and a
Hmm.
lot of them speak English, I would assume. But it's everywhere. It's not just India. It's just that is a big portion of where the advertising goes.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I talked to some. It's interesting doing this. I talked to someone from Australia
Hmm.
a week ago, and then someone from Ireland. Like like one of my first podcasts was someone from Ireland. So people just it's interesting. You can talk to people from all over the fucking world.
And how do you get these people? You just meet them on like social media, I
Yeah,
assume.
a lot of these people are Facebook.
Gotcha.
There's a self-development like YouTube, self-development Facebook group, and people like to post a lot of like questions and stuff. So if you
Hmm.
post, "Hey, I got a podcast, you want to like join?" A lot of people are willing to do that.
That's cool. That's really
Um,
cool.
yeah, I don't. I call this a self-development podcast,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I don't know if it entirely is. Well, it's my spin on self-development because I'm not just doing like, if you do a lot of self-help stuff, it's just like mind over matter and you're thinking, and I think that's important. But then I think it's important to like talk practical stuff. Like,
Right.
for example, talking to you, how the hell and what the hell are you doing? And because what are you trying to actually become? Like, I think you're trying to become a doctor, but that's very broad. There's a very specific thing you're trying to do, and I'm assuming it involves a ton of work. So what is that?
Yeah. So definitely a ton of work. So as of right now, the end goal is to do cardiac surgery. Um, Long road, busy road. It starts off with college, medical school. There's several other different ways to get to cardiac surgery. You could do integrated programs, traditional, semi-integrated. But when it's all said and done, I think cardiac surgery is probably where I'm going to head up.
What is I sort of understand cardiac. It's a relating to the heart, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So
So
there's there's parts.
you would be operating on people doing heart surgery.
Exactly. Yeah. It's called cardiothoracic, so it's heart and lung.
Got it.
Um, Usually, people will specialize in either just do lung surgery or do heart surgery. I'm kind of up in the air with which one I want to specialize in, because they're both really awesome, cool fields.
What's more risky? What's a more risky
Oh yeah,
surgery?
cardiac for sure.
No, I'm saying heart or lung.
Heart surgery.
Oh, so when
Uh,
you say
yeah.
cardiac, you specifically mean heart.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
But cardiac, heart, thoracic, lung or like esophagus type work.
Got it. That's interesting. Do you? Yeah. It's there's a big saying in my industry of advertising. It's like you're not saving lives. Everyone says that. Like you're working late and you get people are always stressed. I think that's a lot because you have a demanding client who's
Hmm.
spending millions of dollars, and you might be like could be fresh out of college, or you could be a veteran, but you're spending millions of dollars. You get a little nervous. It's nerve wracking, but you're not saving lives. Heart surgery, ooh, that must be stressful.
Yeah.
What made you decide like that's what you want to do?
So during my first year of medical school, I always knew I wanted to do something surgical. I had a background in construction, loved working with my hands. Um, so I always knew I wanted to do something surgical. But during my first year of med school, I was on a pediatric cardiology rotation. Now, this is just straight cardiology in office visits. You know, you listen to heart and lungs, get like echoes and stuff like that. But I had the opportunity, one of the surgical PAs came down to one of the rooms and was like, hey, we're doing a congenital cardiac case. If you want to come in and scrub in and spectate. So I was so nervous because this was one of my first cardiac surgical cases ever. I had no idea like what the expectations were for me. So I get in, I scrub in on this case, and
Well, what does scrub in mean?
So you clean your hands, you put on
Got
the
it.
gown and gloves, your goggles,
But you're
mask.
just observing at this point. You're not helping, right?
So at this point, I'm just observing because I'm only a
Okay.
first year med student. I've sutured patients before, at this point, but like I haven't done anything heart related. So I'm scrubbed in and on the table. It's gruesome to talk about, but it was a 4-year-old girl. Her chest was open, her heart was exposed. You could see the heart beating, and we were just about to cannulate her for bypass.
Oh, wait. We're gonna have to slowly talk about this because you're maybe just a little bit smarter than I am because I don't know what the hell you're saying half the time. What is that word you said? Cardulate?
Cannulate.
Cannulate. What is that?
So we have to put patients on bypass for a lot of open heart surgeries, right? Which means we just drain the blood out of your body. It goes into this machine which oxygenates the blood, and then we put the blood back into the body. But the way we do that is by putting tubes, kind of like suction hoses in different arteries and veins connected to your heart. And that's how we're able to drain the heart, bypass the heart, so no blood is going to the heart. So when we're operating on the heart, it's not this big bloody mess. I mean, usually it's bloody mess, but it's,
How doesn't the heart need blood though? Or I guess your heart pumps the blood, but the body needs blood. So how does your body stay alive if the blood is in like tubes?
Yeah, so we take one tube, which goes to your aorta, which is like the main blood vessel that supplies blood to your body, right?
I'll pretend like I know what the fuck aorta is.
So it's the main blood vessel, supplies blood to your body. We stick a tube in there, it sucks the blood out. Okay. Goes to this machine. It's a bypass machine, circulates in that. The machine puts oxygen in that blood and then returns the blood back to your body to 2 other suction hoses, which go to the IVC and SVC, which is 2 other big veins in your body.
Got it.
So that's a way we could prevent a lot of bleeding coming out of the heart while we're doing the procedure.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I can see the picture now a little bit better. All right. So it's a 4-year-old girl. That's
101.
Yeah. That's tough to see. It's 4-year-old. That's tough to see.
4-year-old. She had I forgot the congenital anomaly she had, but I was amazed because the actual procedure took about 15 minutes to do. Kids, when they're on bypass, the longer they're on, it's like days in the ICU. So you have to get this procedure done super quick. So I was just amazed because the surgeon I was working with, he did this procedure that probably would have took any normal cardiac surgeon like 30 minutes to do, 45 minutes to do. He did it in like 10, 15 minutes. I was like, holy shit, this guy's no joke. And that's what sparked my interest in heart surgery, was seeing that procedure because I had never seen one before.
That's what makes me and you different. That's what would make me want to never go back to the hospital. I think I'm squeamish. I don't know.
How do you do with blood? Like getting your own blood thing?
I think I'm fine. I did yeah, I actually think I'm fine. But if I see a knife cut open skin and see blood come out, that freaks me out. Yeah,
it's a little weird. But it's also a good cause.
Yes, I give blood occasionally. I gave blood, let's say 3 to 5 months ago. I forget when exactly.
Oh, that's nice.
And there's 2 types of giving blood. And I say this, I'm not telling you, I'm asking you. I don't know what the difference is, but one is longer to do and one is not. I forget what the name of it is, but me walking into it, I have no idea what I'm doing. They say, hey, we need more people to do this. So would you like to do this? I was like, sure, but it's longer. And I think the longer, I never did the longer one. It
Was it
takes your,
plasma?
could have been plasma. Again, I have no idea.
Okay.
For that, I was I was good for like 10 minutes and then I felt a little like lightheaded. And I wasn't freaked out. But I did. I was like told the people who were doing it, and I was like, "Hey, I just feel a little lightheaded." And they like rushed to me as if like something wrong was happening, which freaked me out a little bit. But I was fine. But
Mhm.
yeah, to me, it's the knife. It's like I don't think I could cut. Like it. I know this happens in surgery. I don't think I could do that. That would freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, it is a little weird to think about. But once you've done it a few times, it's another another part of your day.
I'm trying to like if you were to look at yourself
Hmm.
in high school and that and put your and just like contrast you in high school and you now, like your brain is just completely different. Like
Oh yeah.
you're like the words, like you're think about how much information you know right now. It's so funny. Like you're just talking like a doctor. I have no idea what you're saying half the time. But is this now the new normal? Like you're probably just around people who talk like this. So it's just
All the time.
yeah.
All the time. And I honestly I hate it in a sense because I working for I did construction for 10 years. I use layman's terms all the time. Those are the people I connect with is like regular blue collar people. I don't really connect with doctors, you know what I mean? So that's been a little bit of a culture shock for me, entering the medical field.
Yeah. But you seem to do very well with it.
So far, so far.
I guess that's a good background to have, right? To have to be able to connect with regular people because those are the people you're probably operating on.
Right.
I always find that yeah, that's a difficult thing to do. When you're operating on someone, you have to give bad I don't know if you do it or their primary doctor does it.
Hmm.
Giving bad news a lot. And when you're trying to connect with someone when you know it's extremely difficult to have that conversation,
Yeah.
I would assume being able to connect with someone in layman terms is better than throwing out some like terms that no one's ever heard of before. People are distraught. It's yeah,
Hmm.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I would assume that has to help you from the emotional side of it.
I think it does. I think having that experience and learning how to connect with people is something I wouldn't say a lot of doctors lack, but there's definitely that perception from a lot of people that doctors they just spend their time reading textbooks all day. They don't know how to connect with people, which is true in certain cases, but um, I think being able to connect with just regular people, having like regular life experiences, connecting with them that way is super important. When you're trying to like establish some rapport with them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure like in the community, it's almost it's almost a thing where they want to have no connection. Like you're doing this every day, probably multiple times a day.
Right.
It could be mentally and emotionally draining to
Hmm.
have to like to deal with this, especially if there's bad news like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a philosophy with doctors like, hey, we do our best to save lives, but we don't stay emotionally attached to it. I'm sure some people have that
Yeah.
philosophy.
Some people do, some people don't. Everybody's different. Some people get emotionally attached, and I guess that's just their way of coping. Others don't get emotionally attached, and that's the way they deal with things.
What are
I
you? What type of person? I feel like I would. I feel like I'd work harder if I knew I was emotionally attached to it.
Yeah, I think I would be emotionally attached to it because that's just the type of person I am. But I feel like you know it's important to recognize the big picture here. That you can't really save everyone. You know, and there are people that you can. If that makes sense.
Yeah, the
I try.
work that you do saves more than it doesn't. The work that you do. Like
I think so.
take cardiac surgeons out of the picture. There's no more cardiac surgeons, more people would die. So
Right.
you're saving people. It's just a matter of like some can't. Just
Yeah.
whether it's because someone is already I act like I know what I'm talking about here. I have no idea, but I'm assuming maybe it's someone who has a condition that can't be saved, or I can't imagine mistakes have to happen. Like even if it's
Yeah.
0.01%, I'm assuming it's a very complex thing to look at a goddamn heart, even on a diagram. Now you're looking at it with blood everywhere. That's difficult. It's hard to
Yeah,
be that precise.
I'd say it definitely doesn't look the way that textbooks portray it to look.
Yes, like that's
So
clean. It's clean.
right,
Well, I'll ask you because I have no idea. I would assume that it's all messy when you're looking at it.
it's messy. It's messy.
Oh, that'd freak me out.
Everything's blood stained. It doesn't look anything like pictures.
So, okay, let's go back to high school. In high
Yeah.
school,
Hmm.
you decide to do a pre-med in Stony Brook. You For people who are listening, that's in the United States, in New York, within Long Island, which is in New York. It's a university. You don't like it or whatever. But how do you get into construction? And then how do you go from construction for 10 years? I feel like so you must have how do you go from construction for 10 years and then to this? Like what the
Yeah.
hell happened?
So I was working a bunch of like little BS jobs, and I was looking for something that I could learn and, looking for like useful trades and skills like that. And luckily, Jamie, shout out to Jamie, by the way. She wanted me to give her a shout out. But
Jamie
luckily,
is amazing, by the way.
she's awesome. She's
Jamie,
awesome.
like Jamie promotes my podcast more than I do, I think.
Yeah.
And your kids are so goddamn beautiful. You have a
Oh,
very
thank you.
beautiful family.
Thank you. You too. You too. But yeah, so I mean, Jamie's grandmother, her neighbor downstairs in the apartment complex that she was living in, started a new construction company at the time. It was like 2000, like late 2009, maybe early 2010. Was looking for helpers. He was just starting out. He had like two main guys, and like just needed another set of hands. So I was like, I need a job, dude. I don't care how much I get paid. I just want to come here and learn.
That's right out of high school. So you did that right out of high school.
Pretty much right after high school. Yeah, I worked like I was a swim instructor. I worked at Quiznos. I did a bunch of little other odd jobs, and then I landed this construction gig. Ended up learning so much so quickly. Moving up the ladder with the company. Became good friends with my boss, and ended up just staying with his company for like 8, 9 years. Um,
What kind of construction did you do? Like, were you building houses?
We did a lot of renovations. So we did a lot of bathrooms. We did a lot of kitchens, basements. He had a plumbing license, so I did a lot of like commercial plumbing. Pretty much, you name it. The only thing I didn't do was like masonry type work, like bricklaying and asphalt and stonework. But everything else I did: tile work, plumbing, carpentry, you name it.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah, I did. I learned
So
a
in the
lot.
back of your head though, were you saying I still want to be a doctor? Or was it like, hey, I'm enjoying this in the back of my
Mhm.
head? Like, it's like a thought that like you never externalize, but it could be a thought of like, hey, one day I wish I was a doctor. And then maybe like maybe there was like an inflection point of like something hit and you wanted to be a doctor. Maybe
Yeah, I had
that
my
would be a
first
good
kid.
story. I don't know if there's a story like that.
No, well, me and Jamie found out we were having our first kid, So then that's when I kind of really sat down and thought about, okay, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Am I going to do construction? Because I was pretty much working like off the books. It was stable, but it wasn't like a real
Yeah, you didn't have health
career.
care.
I didn't have like health insurance. So I really had to start figuring out what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And I thought about this before we even found out we were having our first kid, because I felt like really stagnant with my life. Like I felt like I reached the peak in the company I was working for. I was a working foreman. I was making decent money at the time. For a
It's interesting.
21-year-old, 22.
Someone in your position might have said, "I want to open up my own construction company," but
Right.
you changed you do a 180 and say you want to be a doctor, a surgeon, which is that's so funny because it's so tough to do. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm so freaking happy that you are doing this journey. Because if you think about it, someone would think like, "Oh, I want to be a surgeon," but then you say, "Whoa, that is a lot of effort and
Yeah.
time. How the heck?" So you must be very focused on that because I'm
Yeah.
assuming after that you could have said, "I'll open up my own construction company."
Well, at that point, I was actually thinking about doing that. So I at that point I had two options. One, I was going to enter the military. One, because it was just something different. Two, they'd pay for my college. So I'd do like 4 or 5 years, whatever it was, get out and get a career from that training. The other option was open up my own business, which I think I could have done and I think I would have been successful with. But something told me, I could have done something a little bit more. And when we found out we were having our first kid, Charlie, um, it was actually Jamie's mother who brought it up. She's like, "Why don't you go back to school?" And I didn't think that was an option at that point in time because I was living. Me and Jamie were like living on our own, and I needed to work full time, to pay for the apartment and stuff like that. But I said, screw it, let me get back into it. Let me give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, okay, whatever. At least I tried. But if it does, okay, at least I'm headed somewhere. So the original plan was to go to PA school because it's you get your college degree. It's 4 years of college, and then it's 2 years of graduate school after that, and then you're done. Then you find a job, you start working. You have a career. But part of me hates living life with regrets. And I always feel like I always need to do things like 150% full force. No, I hate living life with regrets. So I said, screw it. Let me see if I can get into med school. Um, and then I just went for it, man. Took
After you
one
got
look
into
at
med
it.
school, that must have been a nice confidence booster.
Oh, dude, it was so nice. So check this out. So my first interview was at the University of Buffalo sometime in like November. And it was my first interview. I had other interviews lined up after that. But usually once you interview, you don't hear for weeks, maybe even months to find out if you got accepted. I found out the day after I interviewed at Buffalo that I was accepted. So automatically I had an acceptance like in the books. I was going to be a doctor no matter what. And that just paved the rest of my interview season.
What
And
what did you do to get the day after? Like,
it was just something known with that school. They usually send either acceptances, rejections, usually the day after, which isn't common. Usually you wait weeks to months to find out.
but before that, you had to get a 4-year degree, no?
Yep, you got to do 4 years of college. And so
So
in the United States, you need to do 4 years of college. Then you have to take this test, what's called the Mcat. It's a beast of a freaking test. Never want to. I'd rather take my boards exams in medical school than to take that test again. Um, it's like a 6 hour, 7 hour long test. It tests subjects general biology, general chemistry, physics, biochemistry, pretty much all of the basic sciences, organic chemistry, stuff like that. And then it has like a reading comprehension section,
the
which was
MCAT gets you into the pre-med school.
no, so pre-med is just a track that you take in college. So pre-med, the
Oh,
pre-med
pre-med
track.
is your bachelor's basically.
Yeah, it's not a major per se, but it's a track that you take in order for you to get the prerequisites to apply to med school. So a prereq track includes, the courses like biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics,
Got it.
all that. So you have to get all those prereqs before you can even apply to med school.
All right, so let me see if I'm following.
Yeah.
High school, construction
Hmm.
job, then you want to
Yep.
go back to school. Do you
Right.
where you and then I understand that you applied to med school, you got in, but
Yeah.
oh no, you applied to pre-med.
No, no, no. So you don't apply to pre-med. Pre-med is just a track that you take in college.
Yes,
So you
but
could be
I'm
any
missing where you
major.
took college. So you had to take 4 years of college,
Okay.
and
Yes.
you had to you had to do pre-med. Then
Right.
you had to do
Med school.
med school. So
Yeah.
where did you do pre-med?
So in 2014, when we found out we were having Charlie, that's when I re-enrolled in college. So I enrolled at Suffolk Community College. cheap, super affordable.
I went to Suffolk, by the way. Suffolk's great.
Dude, I loved it. I don't know what this whole thing is about, like people not wanting to go to. I think it was a great education, super cheap. I learned
Amazing.
so much, But
And
yeah, I
and
don't know.
all the Stony Brook University, not well, let me back that up. Not all, but some of the Stony Brook University professors actually teach both
Yeah,
Stony Brook and Suffolk. I think it was a great education. I did Suffolk County Community College for 2.5 years, and then I went to Stony Brook and I finished my bachelor's.
yeah.
I couldn't see a major difference. It was fine.
No. I feel like after 2 years of Suffolk, and then I went to St. Joe's, which is the private college in Patchogue.
Yeah.
Studied chemistry there. I think I spent 3 semesters, year and a half there. Finished up my degree, and then that's when I enrolled in medical school after that.
But the community college in St. Joe's, that was after you had your conversation with your mother-in-law.
Right.
Yeah, that's a long haul. It's like, hey, do you want to go back to school?
Exactly.
And it's like, yeah, sure, let's go. Let me go to school for 9 years. That is a commitment.
To be fair, she's always said it to me, and I always threw it. I just in one ear out the other. I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm doing it. I'm
No,
making
but
decent money
what I'm
now,
saying is it's a difference to say you should go back to school and go become a doctor and say, yeah, it's another 3 years to versus go back to school and it's 8 to 9 years. So it's
try more than that, man. Dude.
Yeah.
So you have 4 years of college, right?
4 years of college, get your bachelor's, and that's
Bachelor's.
pre-med.
That's pre-med. Yep.
Now what's the next step?
So you take the Mcat, which is the entrance exam for med school. You apply to all these programs, you interview, hopefully you get accepted somewhere.
Okay.
Then you start med school, which is 4 years. So
Okay.
so between college and med school, that's 8 years. But schooling doesn't end there. And it's the difference of training as far as residency goes, which is the training after medical school, can range anywhere between 3 extra years or 8.
3 to 8. Are you getting paid between the 3 to 8?
You are getting paid, but it's not much. It's not much, man.
Well, I don't know, man. Looking at that building you're in, looks like it's something.
No, it's not much. Honestly, the average salary for a first-year resident right after high school, not high school, right after med school, you're probably looking anywhere between 55,000 and 65,000 to start. So it's not much with the amount of schooling and with the amount of time you've invested into your education, I feel like. So
Okay, so let's say you graduate med school. You graduate med school?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have 3 to 8 years of what exactly? Is it residencies? And residency just means you are. I always hear this, but I never know exactly what they do. They're acting as a doctor, but they're not doing all doctor responsibilities.
So you're doing specialty training, right? So for me, I'm doing general surgery right after med school. So it's 5 years, at least 5 years. Some programs are 7 years because they add research years. But you're pretty much learning how to be the doctor that you want to become. So I want to be a surgeon. In those 5 years, I'll learn how to be a general surgeon, right? Because med school is just the basics. It's just a little glimpse of medicine.
Yeah, 5 years of being mentored by an actual surgeon, I would assume, who knows what they're doing.
Exactly. So that's going to be my training path. So I'm doing 5 years of general surgery training. Once I finish the 5 years of general surgery training, then I have to do what's called a fellowship, which is just more training. So
do you ever stop training? When do you stop training? I feel like as soon as you stop training, you have to train somebody else.
Yeah. Which I want to do. I love teaching. I think it's so important. But yeah, I mean, so you do 5 years of general surgery training. Cardiac surgery, depending where you go, is anywhere between 2 and 3 years after residency, and that's called a fellowship.
Okay, so med school, and then how do you get to a residency? Is it a lot of applying again? You have to.
So I'm going through the process right now. So So throughout med school, you got to take 2 boards exam. So I'm going to an MD school. We take USMLE Step 1 and Step 2. Step 1 is an 8-hour exam that you take after your second year of medical school. Step 2 is a 9-hour exam that you take after your third year of medical school. So that's kind of like the entrance exams to apply for residency, if that makes sense. It's like the Mcat for med school.
Yeah, got it. What's harder, that or MCAT?
I think the Mcat was harder only because the stuff that is tested on is just boring. Like you don't need like 90% of that stuff for medical school, man, honestly. So it's brutal to study for. It's a hard test. Really, they're testing your test taking skills.
Got it.
You know, I mean, of course you need to know the content, but a lot of that test is knowing how to take the test.
You said you saw the beginning, but Travis Frank, who what the hell is the test called again? I think an LSAT.
An LSAT, yeah.
He said that they were like games almost, where you almost like SATs, I would say, to a certain extent, but probably way, way harder. But they're like games. You have to figure out, are these similar mental kind of games, or are they like science specific, like memorization type of things?
Yeah, it's science specific memorization. So like knowing formulas, knowing like biological principles, you know, it sucks.
Got it. Okay. So
Yeah.
now you're in the process of going and trying to residency. Where are you looking? You're in Arizona, right?
I'm in Arizona. I applied to 57 programs in total across the country. Yeah, with the Zoom
You would be
interviews
willing
now.
to move, you and the family. Let's say New York wanted you. Would you move?
Yeah, yeah. So the match process is pretty brutal too. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So you apply to all these programs like you would, you know, applying to college, applying to medical school, right? Then you know, interviews start rolling in. You get interview invites. You go interview at all these places, and then at the end of interviewing, you have to submit what's called a rank list. So you rank each program with a number, you know, 1 through. If you got 10, let's say you got 10 interviews, you rank each program 1 through 10, 1 being your most desired program to attend, right? The programs pretty much do the same thing for the students that they interview. So then they rank those students. All of these numbers, all of these rankings go into a computer algorithm, and the algorithm spits out one place that you rank at. And it could be anywhere in the country.
Oh, interesting. Anywhere in the country.
Yeah. So that's why it's so important to like really be strategic when you're applying. You know, you don't want to just apply to all these crazy places, you know, and then rank at a place that you really didn't want to go to, you know. But the 57 programs I applied to, most of them are on the East Coast. There's like 1 or 2 in Ohio, and then like 3 or 4 in Arizona that I applied to. So
okay, let me see if I'm following, because
yeah,
I'm on the second beer and it's 75% alcohol. So let me just make sure I'm understanding. And well, that's not a lot, but I don't drink a lot.
I don't drink it. This is enough to get me a little tossed out.
When you do the ranking system, you do 1 to 10 out of all the 57 places you've interviewed, or each place you've interviewed for, there's different types of programs within those places, and then you do 1 to 10 within each of those 57.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. So right now I applied to 57 programs.
Yeah.
As of right now, I have 17 interviews. So I have to rank those 17 programs number 1 through 17, 1 being my most top desired program that I want to go to.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Because my wife, Amanda, she works at Sloan Kettering in New York. And she was in a program. She was in a program that set her up to be a lab technologist. Sometimes I miss the name up, and she yells at me. I think technician is not the right one. I think a technologist is the right one. But after the program, there's many different types of labs they could work in, and they're supposed to have interviews with each lab, and then they rank the lab least desired to most desired, and the lab does the same thing to them. And it's the same thing. So then whatever I don't know if it's a computer algorithm or whatever the case is, then those match up.
That sounds pretty similar to what I'm going through.
Yeah. So are you strategically thinking about that? Because if the most desired place, you rank the top, but you know everyone's ranking the top, it's going to be very difficult. So you rank like the top 3 to top. Is there a strategy there? Or you're not even thinking about that? You're just saying, look, this is where I want to work.
There's definitely some strategy to it. I think one, you have to really assess how well the interview went before you even think about ranking any sort of program as your top choice, right? Your mentors can do favors for you and make phone calls and send emails out on behalf of yourself, to put in a good word. That can help. Sometimes, even though it's really not allowed, but other program directors can kind of hint at you like, hey, listen, we really like you. If you match us to, if you rank us high, you'll be okay. Without blatantly saying like, hey, if you rank us 1, you're going to match here,
Yeah.
Because that's not allowed. But there's ways of finagling, the system, if you will, trying to, make sure you match somewhere, because there's still a chance that you don't match anywhere, and then you're screwed.
So let's say you get the residency. Yeah. Do they help pay for any housing? They do.
Depends on the program. So if you match at a place like, let's say NYU or Columbia in Manhattan.
Yeah. Super high cost of living.
Yeah, crazy cost of living. Resident salary there is maybe like $75,000 a year, whatever.
Yeah, you have a family. Like they have to help somewhat.
Yeah, so they do offer, some places offer subsidized housing. Some places will give you like a housing stipend, depending. I think Stanford does that. They'll just give you extra money for housing because cost of living is just ridiculous. I didn't apply to any programs like that because I don't want to deal with that type of situation, especially having a family. Screw it, I'd rather go somewhere else. But they do offer, housing allowance or subsidized housing, depending on the program and location.
Got it. Okay. What are you doing as a resident? Well, you may not know this because I would assume you have to know something here. You're on the job training, but then I'm so confused what a fellowship is. Like you're training and then you're training again. So what's the difference between residency and a fellowship?
Yeah, so I'd say residency is a more broader type training. So you do general surgery, you get experience in kind of everything, right? So we do like head and neck surgery. We do some chest surgery, we do foregut surgery, abdominal surgery, even some skin surgeries, pretty much almost anything you can think of, general surgeons can do to some extent, right? But so we have a good overall broad knowledge. But if we want to focus, so like I want my focus to be cardiothoracic, but I don't have enough experience. Nobody out of general surgery training has enough experience to just go and operate on someone's heart, right?
Yeah.
So that's what these fellowship programs are for. So I would do 2 or 3 years more of cardiothoracic surgical training.
Got it.
And then after that, after I pass my boards, then I can do cardiac surgery on patients.
Okay. So residency, are you doing any? I'm assuming you help in some surgeries, but it's broad. But do you help in the surgeries?
You help in surgeries in med school, man.
Okay, so you're helping there, but then it's residency broader, but you're still probably doing some kind of surgeries, and then fellowship is you're honing in on that one
Right.
thing that you want to do for 3 years.
Exactly. And every year those responsibilities get, larger, more demanding. You start off with basic surgeries first, so like gallbladders, hernias, appendix, appendectomies and all that stuff. So those are like the bread and butter general surgery things. That's usually what the residents start off doing. Then they'll start moving on to the harder type surgeries. The attendings, which are the main surgeons, main physicians, will kind of step back and let you do more of the surgery as you progress through your training. And by your 5th year of training, your final year, you're pretty much doing the surgeries on your own. You're running your own surgical service at that point. They call it a chief year.
What are you running on your own?
So
could you run a heart surgery on your own?
no, not at that point. I would say,
Safer
because
surgeries.
safer surgeries, like, taking out gallbladders,
Got it. Okay.
small
Got
bowel obstructions, hernias. I mean, they're surgeries. I mean, I'm not making light. They are
Yeah,
surgeries,
but
but
they're not the riskier thing that you
correct,
can do.
correct, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So
Are are any other countries this thorough when it comes to becoming a surgeon? It makes me like so. I've never, I honestly swear to God, never thought it was this thorough. Um,
mhm.
so it makes me feel more confident, I guess, in surgeons. They go through hell to get that
Dude,
career.
it's brutal. Like our training, so we have an 80-hour work week cap, but it's usually never 80 hours. It's like 80
Right
to
now,
100.
even right now. Well, I guess when you're a resident, it's still that long.
So when you're a resident, some programs enforce the 80-hour work week, but it's an average. 80-hour work weeks is an average. So you can work 120 hours one week and then 60 hours the following week. And I think that would average to about 80, if I'm doing my math right.
But
120, 40. Yeah. So it's an
uh,
average of 80 hours per week.
got it. To
Hmm.
me, now I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff, but to me, wouldn't someone like be a little bit concerned that someone who hasn't slept all day is doing a surgery?
I mean, that's why they made the 80-hour work week. That's why they made the limit 80 hours, because residents were
But that's
working.
not a limit. That's basic. How many hours are in a damn week? I feel 80. So 40 is working 8 hours a day.
40 is working 8 hours a
So
day.
you're
Yes.
saying 16 hours a day your work is normal to work.
Yeah, my
That's a lot for doing something very meticulous.
So a normal day for me, at least when I'm on a surgical service, I get to the hospital by like 4:45. I get all of
PM or AM?
AM. So I get to the hospital by like 4:45, get changed, do what I have to do, grab a cup of coffee, go to the computer room, I'll look on the electronic medical record, look at all of my patients' vitals, look at all of their electrolytes, chemistries, see if they've had any blood work done, make sure that's all okay. And then I'll go visit them individually, make sure they're doing okay, tell them what the plan is for the day, whether or not they're going to go home or we need to do some other therapies. And we're usually done with that by about 7 o'clock. Then
AM.
AM.
Okay.
Then I have to come back to the computer room, write notes. So I have to document everything. It's so important to document in the medical field, right? Everybody's getting sued now. So we have to document a note for each patient that I see, and that could take 30 minutes. It could take 45 minutes. And then by about 7:30, 7:45 is when the first surgery starts. And, we could do 4 surgeries a day. We could do 7 surgeries a day if they're quick little surgeries, or it could be one freaking long surgery that takes freaking 16 hours to do. And that's pretty much my day.
Okay. 16 hours for one surgery?
Dude, well, no, I mean 16 hours. Yeah, it could be. The longest surgery I've ever been in was about 13 hours.
Okay, that would freak me out.
Yeah, so this lady, she had cancer in her jaw, we removed, so we cut her up here, right? We removed this part of her mandible. Actually, Joe
Oh, wait,
Fancy
wait.
might.
You can't say mandible like I know what that means. What's
Her
mandible?
jaw, her jaw.
Got it.
So from here to here,
Okay.
we removed that whole portion of her jaw. And then we took the bone. So on the outside part of your calf, there's a bone there called your fibula,
Hmm.
right? So we took that, we took about 10 centimeters of that bone, right? Because you really don't need that bone. It's just there for stability when you walk. So we took 10 centimeters of that bone, reconstructed her jaw, put the bone in place, metal plates, screwed it off, did a skin flap to, to cover whatever was missing. But it's such a long surgery because you have to do these crazy neck dissections. You have to get that free flap going. It was about 13 hours when it was all said and done.
Do you have to? I would assume you have to resize the bone to fit the jaw.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, there's certain templates that you use. You take measurements beforehand. You get imaging. So all that's already prepped and ready for you to go.
I
It's mind
sir,
blowing.
being a surgeon is, yeah, that is an interesting job, man. That is, you do some stuff that I don't think anyone probably would ever even think exists.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I've never seen anything like it until that day. It was wild.
So now, um, residency, then you have the fellowship. The fellowship, you get paid a little more than a residency.
Yeah, it goes up in increments per year. So it goes by how many years of training you're in, right? So if you're a first year resident, it's considered a PGY1, and it goes all the way up to, however many years you're in training. But each year your salary does go up by like 2 or 3 thousand, depending on where you are.
Got it.
Yeah. Still
Got
not
it.
much, but it's something.
So you got 8 years left, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, probably 7, 8 years. Yep.
7, 8 years. Yeah, that is a lot. But
It's a
the
lot.
benefits at the end of it will be, yeah, I think, like when you graduate, like
Hmm.
college, someone
Hmm.
graduate, you get like a party, like you do like a Saturday, everyone comes over. After all of what you've done, I feel like you need like a 3-month vacation.
Dude, I'll just be happy when it's over. That's good enough for me, man. The training
What
process is grueling, dude. It's grueling. So when
what
it's
keeps
done,
you
I'll be.
what keeps you like wanting to continue going? Because it's grueling, it's a lot. What do you have like
Yeah.
a main purpose in life that makes you like want to keep fighting and doing this? Because it's also it's not like you're if you were getting paid a ton of money,
Yeah.
it's it's different, but you're like fighting through it, and they're not even. That's such bullshit. I don't know how the hell residents aren't getting paid more.
Yeah.
So how what keeps you what keeps you motivated to keep doing it? Because by the end of it, but believe me, you will be the happiest person on the entire planet, and
Oh,
you
hell
will
yeah,
have the
dude.
best career you could probably ever have, and
Yeah.
probably be better off than you ever would ever be.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this, dude. I am not doing it for the money. And anybody who wants to go in medicine because of money, just don't do it. It is not worth it. You'll be depressed. It's, people watch Grey's Anatomy, people watch, all those doctor shows, and all these shows portray it as a really good lifestyle. No, it's brutal. It sucks. You don't get paid for like the first 15 years. It's brutal. But I'd say like what keeps me motivated, I love surgery. I have such a passion for it, dude. I really can't see myself doing anything else. Like if I had a choice, I would just operate all day, every day for the rest of my life. But I think I get such a gratifying feeling when someone comes to you really, really sick and you can fix them in a matter of a few hours. For like 80% of the time, 70, 80% of the time, they're cured with surgery, or, they're doing a lot better. And just to change that person's quality of life from super shitty to decent or really good is enough for me, just to keep going.
Yeah, it's like I talked to Travis about being a lawyer. You could help you could help someone in a really bad situation,
Hmm.
but for you it's like someone's life. You
Yeah,
could
I mean,
life is different than like you could be in shambles with well, I guess you can be you can have bad situations no matter what, but when your
yeah.
life is on the line and
Hmm.
someone has the expertise of training for more than they've been living. I think you've been training more than you've been alive.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. Seriously. I'll give you an instance. So like when I was at Mayo Clinic Jacksonville, I spent 2 weeks doing cardiothoracic surgery, and they have a huge heart transplant program. And I had the opportunity to meet someone who had a heart transplant 20 years ago, still doing well, the heart's still doing really well. And before he had his transplant, he was in the ICU for weeks. Weeks. He had an LVAD, which is like an electronic heart pumping blood for him. Terrible shape, terrible shape. And now he's riding freaking his bike, doing marathons, 20 years later still, you know. So dramatic, dramatic difference, dramatic impact. It's definitely motivation for me, man, seeing
It's
that.
motivation, but you have had this thought since high school. You said that you wanted to do something like this. Is there anything in your life that like made you want to do this?
Hmm. No, honestly, I can't say there was never like an aha moment. Some people have those aha moments. I just liked the idea of being able to help people using my hands and just making like an instant impact on someone's life. And getting paid to do that is awesome, Like
Yeah.
I would, if I had enough money in the bank, dude, I would do it for free, you know. But I got 4 kids I got to take care of.
Speaking of the 4 kids, when do you hang out with them if you're doing this constantly? Do you have the weekends off?
Yeah, most of the time I have the weekends off. As a resident, you work 6 days a week, so Sundays we usually have off. There are some days where I'll get home at a decent time, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I do, go home, do homework with them, have dinner with them. But surgery is one of those fields where, there's definitely some sacrifice, and me and Jamie, I think, have pretty much been there, done that. When I was in college, dude, I was working 3 jobs. I was working full time doing the construction. I was tutoring. Um, I even worked as a short order cook at a local diner in is it Middle Island, on the weekends. So I was already gone from the house 80, 90 hours a week between working 3 jobs, going to school full time. Um, so we kind of learned how to adapt to that type of schedule early on, and I'd say she's been a crazy support system for me. I
Yeah,
don't think
you couldn't do what you're doing without Jamie.
no, no, not at all, not at
Yeah,
all.
not a fucking chance. Like the amount of hours that you're putting into, I think the same thing for me is like I couldn't do all the things that I could do without Amanda.
Yeah,
But for you, you're doing you have such a hard commitment to this because you're motivated to do it, and the motivations seem to be all like really great things that we need in the society. If like people to have those type of motivations, we need more of that.
yeah.
But you couldn't do what you're doing without an amazing. I'm getting a call right now.
Oh,
You couldn't do what you're doing right now without Jamie, who is an amazing support system, who probably takes care of your kids amazingly, and who probably motivates you and like supports you when you're feeling down. Because I'm sure there's down periods.
yeah.
So yeah, it would be
I
almost
mean,
impossible.
don't get me wrong. I mean, like we have our, sometimes are tough. When I'm out of the house, 120 hours a week. Like that's
Yeah, I
it's
would
tough.
assume so.
It's tough for anybody. But I think we share. I think we share the same goals. You know, and same values, and I think that's why we do so well together as a team. It's been really good having her there. I'll tell you that.
Really good. It would be impossible to do what you're doing, my man, without her.
Yeah, no, she's been awesome. And my kids too, man. I come home, I don't have to worry about what happened at work. I go home, hang out with my kids, spend time with them, and that's been a blessing in disguise having kids in medical school, believe it or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
you got 4 kids. How old are they? You told me this yesterday when we chatted, but I forgot.
Yeah. So Charlie is 7, Jolie's 5, Tristan's 4, and Logan's 2.
Back
Yeah.
to back to back to back.
That's the way to do it, man. Get them all done early.
Get them done with quick.
Get them, close in age. They hang out with each other.
Yeah.
It's awesome to watch.
It's a beautiful family. I see him post all the time. I see a bunch of mini yous walking around. It's so funny.
Dude, Tristan's a mini me, dude. He is off the walls. I was so hyper as a kid. I think he's worse. He's crazy.
You're gonna put any of your kids in lacrosse? You were a big lacrosse player.
I was. It's not big in Arizona. It's really.
Well, you don't know where you'll be. You can be anywhere.
Anywhere on the East Coast. I could stay in Arizona. I could be in Cleveland. I have no idea. But
yeah, that's part of the excitement, I guess. It's like you don't know where you're gonna go.
It's nerve-wracking, but it's really exciting. I want to get him in gymnastics though. You have to see this kid do flips.
Really?
Yeah, we bring him to like the little trampoline park, like the Sky Zones or whatever. And this guy learned how to front flip in like 5 minutes.
How old is Tristan?
He's 4.
He's doing front flips at 4?
Dude, he's an animal. I could not believe it when Jamie showed me the video of it.
Well, for gymnastics, you have to be really strong. Like there might be a perception like gymnastics is like not for like stronger, but you have to be strong to do that stuff. Like the rings, like when they like that's not, you have to be really strong to do that and really athletic.
Yeah, I think he's there. I think he's there. I would love
He's there at 4. You think he's doing the rings?
He's a monkey, dude. The guy, he shimmies up. So like like door jams. Like he'll shimmy up the door jam.
Yeah.
And like go all the way up.
Well, you were always athletic, so I'm sure he has like an athletic body.
Yeah, he's definitely athletic for sure. But we'll see what happens. I think once we settle down, then we'll get him started in something. We had him in soccer here for a little bit, but they stopped that because of COVID. I think they're starting to come back.
Soccer is the best thing. It's like
I coached it for a season.
Did you? Where? Like how old?
Charlie, I think was.
Oh, you coached your kid.
I have never played soccer ever in my life. I think the only time I played soccer was like Clinton Avenue recess.
Got it.
That was it. So
I mean, you're teaching Pee Wee probably coaching Pee Wee. You don't have to like know a ton, I would assume.
No, but it was a learning curve. It was a learning experience. Trying to teach a bunch of 4 or 5-year-olds how to kick a ball and stuff.
More than becoming a surgeon?
It was tough, man. It was tough.
All right, dude. I'm going to let you go. I want to talk to you again, though, because this is a long journey for you. I want to keep in touch.
Yeah, I mean, if you got any topics that you want to talk about in particular, let me know.
We'll see. The thing is, I don't know what topics to talk to you about. Like, I don't know what you. Yeah, what the hell would I talk about? I don't know.
Maybe we could talk about something relating to your book once I'm done reading it. I'm about halfway through with it.
Could try that. Yeah. See what you say. You're a little bit smarter than me, so maybe you disagree with it. We'll see.
Oh, no. I'm not smarter than anybody, my friend.
All right, dude. Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for trekking through the crap to save lives, because we need more people like you.
No problem, man. It's my pleasure.
Yep. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy, my dude.
Right. See you later, brother.
Bye.